Hi guys, Sal the spiritual atheist, still here, still kicking, and I'm accompanied by Dexter. Say hi, Dex. This is Sunday night, I guess, right? And at the end of the week, last week, I went to the doctor for a sort of a check whether the second round worked or not. And I was pronounced cancer-free. And so I owe it all to a genetically modified tuberculosis bacteria that freed me from cancer. Thank you, bacteria. Of course, it was the human intelligence that altered the bacteria, that genetically altered it, so that it would feed off of bladder lining instead of lung lining. But we've been doing that a lot recently. Have you guys heard about the spider goats? That when this story was online, and when I saw it, one of the commenters is breaking into song with "Spider goat, goes where a spider goat goes." Well, in any case, spiders produce silk that is superior in many ways to silkworm silk. It's about twice as strong for start off with. And that is really important, that the silk is used for medical purposes, skin grafts and sutures and things like this. I mean, it's a very viable commodity, but you can't really raise spiders the way you can silkworms. That spiders are cannibalistic. So what some genius did was take the web producing gene from, I guess it's a gene or whatever, it was, gene, I guess, and placed it in a goat and developed a species of spider goats that look and act like goats and are very easily farmed. And when their milk is treated chemically, the spider web strand is revealed, and lots of money is made. And that's kind of the way that evolution works when intelligence gets involved in it. And it's kind of where I see ourselves going. That we're going to, I see us sort of ending up as attractive cyborgs. We certainly wouldn't be unattractive ones, but attractive cyborgs. And we've been going in this direction from the beginning. The basis, the Sphinx riddle, I don't know if you're familiar with it. There are some versions, but the simplest one is the Sphinx asks the traveler the riddle, and if he doesn't answer appropriately, he's lunch. And if he does answer, he's allowed to pass. And the question is, what walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs at sunset? And the answer, of course, is man. As an infant, in the morning we walk on 2 legs. In the noon of our lives, in the mid of our lives, our adult lives, we walk on 2, and at the as we get near the end, we walk on 3. The cane. I submit the cane as a machine, and right from the very beginning, we have been augmenting our human frailties with machines of one type or another. We wear glasses, we have artificial hips, we have stents in our heart. We replace organs as they wear out and are becoming more and more able to do this, even to some point of actually 3D printing organs. But, you know, that's all in the future, but that's sort of where we're headed, I think. And, you know, if the climatologists are correct, the evolution of how that's going to physically alter us is, you know, changing our breathing apparatus or whatever, will be done consciously and quickly. Evolution in this case is, as we can see from experience, is speeding up at a tremendous rate right along with human knowledge. I don't know if this is good, bad, or indifferent, but it seems to be natural. You know, I mean, if we don't like it, then we stop wearing glasses. We, you know, don't use canes. We just fall over. I mean, it doesn't make sense not to. And I think that's it. And so my picture of the cyborg is, you know, pretty physically attractive people who are healthy physically and augmented, you know, where the human body is weak. But that's leading me to another point and the question, and I've been thinking about this for quite a while now, and I still haven't come up with an answer that I like. That is that if we're going to deal with an evolutionary process of what's going to happen to us physically, then what happens at the conscious level? Where are we going consciously? And that brings forth the question, is there a possibility of some type of conscious that's not dependent on a human brain? And that is where I've been treading, and you know, I'll ask you to walk with me for a bit. I start off with my wife, who I love with all my heart, and, you know, it's natural. We're two people together, and we are together a great deal. We live rather remotely. We live a semi-hermit lifestyle. We tend only to go out of the house for food or medical things, you know, and that's, we have, you know, a few friends, and we'll go for days and just see each other. And we've found, especially if we're focused on the same thing, like say watching a television show, that we may say the same sentence at the same time, right, with the same inflection. And this always brings about a laugh from us because it happens enough that it's amusing, but it's not anything that we are aware of until it happens. That is, that there's no awareness of a single. And in fact, I don't think there is a single. It seems to me to be more of two brains that are operating on basically the same frequencies. I mean, people share the same values, the same sense of humor, more or less. You know, you know, that the old people will grow so much alike, you know, that we really do finish each other's sentences. And so I don't think that there's a non-dualistic necessarily, that this is an instance of some type of melding of minds or transmission of minds or anything like that. I think it's just simply two minds, two brains operating at a similar frequency, much like two singers singing in harmony. And, you know, in this case, it just, when it happens, it happens. Well, I'd like to tell you, to continue in this vein a little bit, another personal tidbit about me is that in my youth, that is my late teens, I found an opportunity to bum around Europe and mostly England for a year or so. And while I was in England, claws, don't use claws. While I was in England, a guy named Colin Jordan, who was the head of the local Nazi party, decided to give a speech in Trafalgar Square. And that would be too good for me to miss, and so I'm off to it. And as I approach, I can hear that there's this crowd. I would say, you know, oh God, I couldn't estimate numbers, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was in the neighborhood of 5,000 people or so. I don't know. But there's like two groups, and you walk into it, you're in the back group, and you can hear the speakers that they have, you know, loudspeakers set up, and you can hear what the guy's saying. I don't remember much about it, actually. And then as you move forward, right in front of the area where he was talking from, the statue of Nelson, they're surrounded by these young socialist workers who are fisting up and screaming at the top of their lungs, trying to shout this guy down, and doing it successfully in that area. As I would move closer to them, I could not hear what was being said. Their screams were so loud. But what was really interesting is that I found myself joining in. My arm began to wave and I began to scream. And I was conscious enough, you know, which is amazing, I think, for a teenager, that I said, this is interesting, and I worked my way back and felt rationality coming back into my life. And then when I went back into it, into all those minds, I was picked up almost actually against my will. My body was moving. Was there a consciousness in that crowd? Yeah. Was it something that was conscious of itself? Did it have self-awareness? No. Mob consciousness doesn't have self-awareness. You know, so it's there now. If we look at the evolutionary process, I think we have to look at it tied into a process of the evolution of consciousness. That is that for, you know, millions and millions of years, speaking of our species alone, we have the evolution of me and you has been purely a random process. That's up until we come along. And right from the very beginning, we begin to influence our own evolutionary process. It's like we became aware of it. And with Darwin, there was no question of being aware of it. And that led to spider goats. You know, that's fast. How long would it take nature to come up with a spider goat? You know, it's just not in the cards. How long would it take nature to come up with a bladder-feeding tuberculosis bacteria? And I think that is kind of where we are. But there's a feeling that something drives the evolutionary process, even if it's not intelligent. And now with the human, in our case, as we control what we control, that consciousness is going to take a whole new leap. Now, I don't know much about social media. I'm not on Facebook. I don't Twitter. I don't whatever. I mean, I have a Reddit account that I more or less play with in this, and that's about it. But I have noticed that there's a real alteration of consciousness in cyberspace, especially in these, as people talk about Facebook and uh, whatever they check their, whatever it is. And it's like it's a different reality. They're tapping into some type of consciousness. And it probably won't be out of the realms of, in your lifetimes, of having a possibility of a Google chip inserted or something. It makes TV science fiction now. Uh, and what's interesting is this sort of cyborgs that we're becoming, who will be partaking of a hive mind. Uh, that's not necessarily bad, because I don't see that you get swallowed up in it. Well, you do get swallowed up, but it's like the near riot or the mob that I was in. You can come in and out of it. And the interesting thing about cyber mind or cyberspace is no one is forcing you. There's no one knocking on my door saying I must sign up for Facebook. I just don't do it, and no one cares. So that journey to that type of consciousness is going to be purely voluntary, and I expect that people will go in and into it and out of it as rationally as they can, and find it to be something of use. That is my hope. Um, the other possibilities are nightmares, and there's no reason even to consider them. Listen, now that I'm cancer-free, the real driving force behind this series, which was to sort of catalog my thoughts as I was going through this process, has kind of come to an end, I guess. Um, I think I'll still make videos now and then, but it's going to be really now and then. And when I have something to say, I'll come back, and if anybody's interested, I'll say it. But as far as me looking cancer in the eye and seeing who blinks and all this sort of stuff, that's over with right now. Uh, and, I'm very much the happier for it, and I assume you all are too. And so, listen, guys, be kind to yourselves, and we'll stay in touch.